There are two kinds of pain in life: the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. The poor choose comfort now and pay later. The wealthy, they choose effort now and freedom later. You say you want to grow money fast, multiply your productivity? Then understand, comfort zones keep you broke. It's time to trade excuses for strategy, procrastination for purpose, because the clock's running either way. Saving money isn't just a financial act, it's a declaration of discipline. Growing money isn't luck. It's structured, steady multiplication. The wealthy know how to grow their productivity, their mindset, their value, and as a result, their bank accounts. It's all connected. Today, I'm going to show you how to break the cycle of survival, how to save and grow money fast, how to multiply your productivity like a millionaire, and how to transform your financial future. But it starts here with how you think, because the greatest investment you'll ever make is the one you make in yourself. Stay with me, because this is the moment you shift from hoping for a better life to building one seed, $1, one focused choice at a time. Let's begin. Most people don't fail financially because they can't save 10%. They fail because they never start. They wait until life feels convenient, until the numbers make sense, until the stars align, and in doing so, they wait themselves right out of a future that could have been. What separates those who build wealth from those who only dream of it is not how much they save at the beginning, but that they save it all. I learned this lesson long ago when a mentor of mine said, if you can't save $1 when you have 10, you won't save 100 when you have 1,000. At first, I resisted that. I thought the more I earned, the more I'd save. But life doesn't work that way. Money doesn't make habits, habits make money. If 10% feels like too much, if that number makes you tense, start with 1%. $1 out of every 100 you earn. It doesn't sound like much, and that's the point. The point is to carve a space in your life where saving is a requirement, not an afterthought. When I was younger and living lean, this 1% felt like planting a seed in hard, dry ground. But I promised myself I wouldn't skip it. Every payday, regardless of how tight things felt, I put $1 aside for every 100 I earned. It was automatic. It was sacred. In those moments, I was telling myself, my future is worth at least this $1. Here's what I discovered quickly. The $1 didn't hurt. The $1 didn't break the bank. The $1 didn't ruin dinner or cancel plans. What it did was teach me discipline. What it gave me was proof. Not proof of riches, but proof that I could do it. And that proof became a foundation I could build upon. After a few months, I increased it. Not because anyone told me to, but because it felt like a victory to watch that percentage rise from 1 to 2, from 2 to 3. Suddenly, I was no longer one of those people who talked about saving money. I was one of those rare people who acted upon it. That tiny shift carried weight beyond the numbers. What started as $1 became $10, 10 became 100. The habit became a part of who I was. And when that happened, the external results caught up with the internal shift. You don't have to save 10% to call yourself a saver. You have to save something. You have to draw a line and stick to it, regardless of how small. The wealthy understand that every discipline, practiced faithfully, reshapes the person. They don't wait for a surplus. They create a surplus by making the first $1, the first 1%, sacred. I remember looking at that growing balance at the statement that came in the mail and realizing it wasn't about the numbers. It was about the character it was carving within me. The 1% had built a bridge from where I was to where I wanted to be, and with every payday, every small contribution, I crossed it. What felt insignificant became the very foundation upon which every $1 earned later would stand. It doesn't matter where you start. It matters that you do. Begin with 1%. Let it teach you discipline, resilience, and focus. Let it prove to you that no matter how little you have, you can still honor a bigger vision for yourself. The seed doesn't ask how soon the harvest will come. It simply finds its place in the soil and takes root. So find your 1%, plant it faithfully, and watch it grow. The rest will come in its time. One of the most powerful principles I've learned on the path to financial success is this: not all work is created equal. It's not about how busy you are, how many hours you clock, or how much you try to do every day. The secret lies in identifying the small fraction of your efforts that truly create the majority of your results. This idea is often called the 80-20th principle, that 20% of what you do produces 80% of your outcomes. And understanding this is the difference between spinning your wheels and making real progress. Early in my career, I thought success came from doing more. More calls, more meetings, more work. I believed the harder I worked, the richer I'd become. But what I discovered was that hard work without focus is just busy work. It drains your energy and steals your time without delivering proportional rewards. Real wealth is created when you focus your efforts where they matter most, on the activities that multiply results. If you're spending 80% of your day on tasks that only produce 20% of your income, you're working hard but not working smart. To change that, you must first identify your high-value activities. What are the things that consistently bring you the most income, most clients, or most progress? Maybe it's closing sales, building relationships, or developing products. Whatever it is, focus on doing more of those and less of everything else. I remember a time when I tracked my weekly activities and realized that making phone calls to prospects was my golden 20%. Yet, I was distracted by administrative tasks and endless meetings. Once I recognized this, I shifted my focus, doubling down on those calls. The result? My income soared and my stress dropped. The wealthy don't just work harder, they work smarter by magnifying the impact of their best efforts. This means saying no to distractions, delegating less productive tasks, and sometimes cutting activities that feel comfortable but yield little. It's about making deliberate choices so your time aligns with your greatest opportunities. Think of your day as a garden. You wouldn't waste your water on weeds while the roses wilt. Instead, you pour your energy where the flowers bloom. One practical strategy is to spend a week analyzing your results. Write down every task you do and measure its outcome. Be honest. Then identify the few activities that generate the bulk of your results. Make a plan to spend at least twice as much time on those high-impact tasks next week. Over time, this focused effort compounds. The income you generate grows not because you're doing more, but because you're doing what matters most more often. This approach changes your mindset too. You start to see your work through the lens of value, not just effort. You learn to respect your time as a precious resource and guard it fiercely. As you build this discipline, you become not just a harder worker, but a better thinker, strategist, and performer. That shift is what separates those who struggle financially from those who build lasting wealth. Remember, it's not about being busy. It's about being effective. Identify your top 20%, invest your time there, and watch your results multiply. Focus is the multiplier of wealth. And when you double down on what works, you don't just grow richer, you grow smarter. Every journey worth taking begins with a clear purpose, a compelling reason that pulls you forward even when the road gets tough. When it comes to building wealth and achieving financial freedom, your why is the anchor that keeps you steady amid the storms of doubt, distraction, and fatigue. Without regularly revisiting that why, motivation fades and it's easy to lose your way. The truth is, the desire for money alone is fleeting. It's what money represents that keeps the fire alive. Early in my own journey, I thought my why was simply to make more money. But over time, I realized that wasn't strong enough to sustain me. I needed to dig deeper and find the reasons behind the money, the freedom to spend time with family, the ability to give generously, the security to face life without fear. That deeper purpose gave me a daily source of energy. When challenges came, and they always do, my why pulled me back on course. It's natural for motivation to wax and wane. Life gets busy, distractions multiply, Temptations arise to settle for less. That's why it's not enough to declare your why once and forget it. You must revisit it regularly, daily, weekly, monthly, whatever rhythm keeps your purpose fresh and clear. Write it down, read it aloud. Visualize the life you want to create. Let the feelings tied to your why wash over you again and again. This keeps your mind and heart aligned with your goals. I remember a young man I once coached who was chasing money but felt exhausted and discouraged. When I asked him why he wanted financial freedom, his first answer was vague. So, we dug deeper until he found that he wanted to travel with his family and build a foundation for future generations. That realization reignited his passion. He started to show up differently, more focused, more disciplined, more resilient. His progress accelerated because his why was clear and powerful. Motivation is like a muscle. If you don't exercise it, it weakens. Revisiting your why regularly is your way of exercising your motivation. It's the habit that renews your commitment and sharpens your focus. When you face setbacks, a strong why reminds you that the struggle is temporary, but the reward is lasting. When distractions tempt you, your why acts as a compass pointing to what truly matters. Moreover, your why will evolve as you grow. Revisiting it isn't just about remembering the original reason, but refining it as you gain clarity and experience. Maybe what started as a desire for financial security matures into a vision of creating impact or leaving a legacy. Embrace that evolution and let it deepen your drive. So, make a habit today to reconnect with your why. Don't wait until you feel motivated. Motivation follows action and clarity. Write down your reasons, speak them aloud, and let them shape your daily decisions. This is the wellspring of perseverance and purpose that transforms a financial goal from a fleeting wish into an unstoppable mission. When your why is clear and alive, you don't just work for money, you work for a meaningful future. And that is the secret to lasting success. Everyone talks about earning more money, climbing the ladder, getting that raise, or landing a better job. And sure, higher income can feel like the golden ticket to financial freedom. But let me share something many overlook. Income without profit is like filling a leaky bucket. You may pour in plenty, but if it's slipping through the holes, your wealth never truly grows. What separates those who build lasting wealth from those who merely chase paychecks is the focus on profits, not just earnings. I remember when I first started in business, I was obsessed with increasing revenue. I thought, the more money I bring in, the richer I'll become. But time and again, I found that even with higher sales, my bank account wasn't reflecting the growth I expected. The problem wasn't the money coming in, it was the money going out. High earnings mean little if you spend every dime, or worse, spend more than you earn. Profit, at its simplest, is what remains after all expenses, debts, and costs are paid. It's the true measure of financial intelligence. Profit is the raw material from which wealth is built. It's what you can save, invest, and use to create new opportunities. Without profit, earnings are just noise. The wealthy think in terms of profit margins, cash flow, and return on investment. They understand that boosting income is important, but controlling expenses and maximizing profit is critical. They don't fall into the trap of lifestyle inflation where every raise leads to bigger expenses. Instead, they see each dollar earned as a tool to grow more dollars, not just to buy more things. One practical step I took early on was to track every dollar spent and earned. I learned to ask myself hard questions. Is this expense necessary? Does it help me grow? Will it generate profit or just drain resources? Those simple questions reshaped my spending habits and sharpened my financial decisions. Focusing on profit means creating a budget that prioritizes savings and investments before discretionary spending. It means being intentional with your money, treating it like the valuable resource it is. It also means building habits to regularly review your financial health, knowing exactly where you stand. Profit is more than just numbers in a ledger, it's a mindset. It's the discipline to say no to instant gratification in favor of long-term gain. It's the wisdom to see that wealth is created not by how much you make, but by how much you keep and grow. So, if you want to build real wealth, stop chasing income alone. Start chasing profit. Master that, and you'll master your financial future. Frugality is often misunderstood. Many think it means living a life of deprivation, penny pinching, or endless sacrifice. But that's not the truth. Frugality with purpose is something much deeper. It's about choice, clarity, and intentional living. It's about learning to say no to what doesn't serve your goals so you can say yes to what truly matters. Early in my career, I saw people caught in a trap. They earned more, but their expenses rose even faster. They bought things they didn't need, simply because they could. They equated spending with success. But wealth doesn't come from how much you spend. It comes from how wisely you manage what you have. Frugality, practiced with purpose, is a tool that protects your financial freedom. It's a way of creating space in your budget, space in your life, and space in your mind. When you say no to unnecessary expenses, you're not just saving money, you're preserving your ability to invest in opportunities, to build assets, and to secure your future. Imagine your money as seeds. If you scatter those seeds on weed impulse buys, flashy distractions, you get little to show. But if you plant your seeds carefully in fertile soil investments, education, your health, they grow into a strong harvest. Frugality is also a discipline that builds character. It teaches patience and delayed gratification. It trains you to recognize value, not just price. When I first started budgeting, I learned to distinguish between needs and wants, between temporary pleasure and lasting benefit. That discernment changed my relationship with money. Purposeful frugality means aligning every expense with your long-term vision. It means asking yourself before spending, does this move me closer to my goals or pull me away? When you align your spending with your purpose, frugality no longer feels like deprivation, it feels like empowerment. Frugality also frees you from the burden of lifestyle inflation, that slow creep where every raise is swallowed by bigger expenses. The wealthy understand this. They live below their means, not because they have to, but because they choose to. They prioritize freedom over fleeting comforts. This mindset changes everything. It's not about what you give up. It's about what you gain: peace of mind, control over your finances, and the power to create wealth. So practice frugality with purpose. Say no to the small things that don't matter, so you can say yes to the big things that build your legacy. Because wealth isn't about how much you make, it's about how much you keep and grow. And purposeful frugality is the foundation of that. Building a wealth calendar might sound like a simple organizational tool, but its power reaches far beyond just dates on a page. It's a commitment, a daily handshake with your financial future. You see, money left unattended is money that drifts. And wealth requires attention, consistency, and intentionality. If you want to build lasting financial success, you must stay engaged with your numbers regularly, and a wealth calendar is the best way to do that. When I first began managing my finances, I realized that my money's growth wasn't just about earning or saving, it was about staying actively connected to where my finances stood at every moment. Without that connection, it's easy to lose sight, get distracted, or fall prey to impulse spending. A wealth calendar creates checkpoints, monthly milestones that keep you honest and aware. Start by marking important dates for reviewing your debts. Debt is the silent enemy that slowly drains your resources. When you set a recurring reminder to assess your outstanding balances, interest rates, and repayment progress, you regain control. You turn a problem into a project, and projects get completed. Debt no longer feels like a burden, but a challenge you are steadily conquering. Next, schedule a monthly assessment of your net worth. Don't let this number intimidate you. Instead, use it as your scoreboard. Knowing your assets versus liabilities brings clarity. It's a reality check and a motivator, all in one. Each month, watch that number climb, however slowly. Celebrate small victories. They're the bricks that build your financial fortress. Adjust your savings rates on this calendar too. As your income changes or your expenses shift, make it a habit to revisit how much you save or invest. This keeps your plan flexible but focused. Wealth isn't built by set it and forget it, it's built by adapt and improve. One of the greatest lessons I've learned in my life is that what gets measured gets managed. The wealthy don't just hope their finances improve, they track them relentlessly. A wealth calendar keeps you engaged, prevents complacency, and fuels your progress. It's your financial GPS, guiding you steadily toward your destination. In the end, building wealth is a marathon, not a sprint. Regular check-ins, monthly milestones, and consistent adjustments make the journey manageable and the goal achievable. Commit to your wealth calendar, show up every month, stay aware, because in financial success, attention is not just important, it is everything. Maintaining liquidity is one of those foundational principles that separates the financially secure from those constantly caught off guard. It's not glamorous or flashy, but it's the safety net that allows you to sleep peacefully at night and act decisively when opportunity or crisis knocks. Think of liquidity as the fuel in your car's gas tank. You may have a powerful engine and a sleek design, but without fuel, you're going nowhere. From my own journey, I learned the hard way that even the best laid financial plans can falter without liquidity. When unexpected expenses arise, whether a sudden medical bill, an urgent home repair, or a temporary job setback, having cash or assets that can quickly be turned into cash is what keeps you afloat. Without that cushion, you risk having to sell investments at a loss, or worse, plunge into debt, which erodes your wealth. The rule of thumb is clear. Keep 3 to 6 months worth of living expenses in liquid form. This isn't money you invest in volatile stocks or tie up in long-term real estate. This is money you can access quickly without penalty or loss. A simple savings account, money market fund, or short-term certificates of deposit can serve this purpose well. Why 3 to 6 months? Because life doesn't operate on a predictable schedule. Jobs can be lost, markets can tumble, and emergencies come unannounced. That buffer period gives you time to recover, regroup, and plan your next move without panic. But maintaining liquidity is not just about protection. It's also about positioning yourself for opportunity. When you have ready cash, you're prepared to act swiftly, whether it's investing in a promising business, purchasing undervalued assets, or seizing a unique chance that requires immediate capital. I've seen many people rush to get rich quick by putting every dollar into high-risk ventures, neglecting this safety net. But wealth is not just about growth, it's about preservation. Without liquidity, growth can quickly turn to hardship. So how do you maintain liquidity without sacrificing growth? It comes down to balance and discipline. Allocate a portion of your portfolio strictly to liquidity. Replenish it regularly after use. Treat this reserve as non-negotiable, just like paying your rent or mortgage. Liquidity is your financial anchor. It allows you to weather storms without losing your ship. It frees your mind from fear and opens your hands to opportunity. Hold on to this truth. Without liquidity, you're at the mercy of circumstance. With liquidity, you hold the reins of your financial destiny. Building trust with money isn't about having a fortune. It's about the relationship you develop with every dollar that passes through your hands. Money, after all, is energy. It flows in and out of your life, and the way you treat it shapes not only your financial future, but your mindset and habits. If you treat money carelessly, it will slip away. But if you handle it with respect and intention, it becomes your faithful servant. I learned this early in my career. When I first began earning, I was tempted to spend freely, chasing quick gratification without thinking twice. But I noticed something. That approach led to stress and scarcity. So I shifted my perspective. I started viewing every dollar as a guest someone invited into my home whom I had to honor and guide. I wanted to know where it came from, where it was going, and what it was doing for me. To build trust with money, start by knowing your income sources. Understand how your dollars are earned, whether from your job, your business, or investments. Recognizing the effort or value behind each dollar cultivates appreciation. It's not just found money, but something tied to your time, energy, or skills. Next, direct your money intentionally. Don't let it wander aimlessly on impulse buys or distractions. Instead, allocate it with purpose toward bills, savings, investments, and giving. When you control the flow, you build confidence. You stop chasing money and start commanding it. Equally important is reviewing your money's performance regularly. How much are you saving? Are your investments growing? Are you avoiding wasteful spending? Like a farmer who checks the soil and crops, periodically assess your financial garden. Make adjustments where necessary. This vigilance builds trust not only in money, but in your ability to manage it. Trust grows with consistency. Every time you honor a budget, save a bit more, or pay off a debt, you reinforce your relationship with money. You show that you are a reliable steward. And just like any relationship, trust opens doors to greater possibilities. Lenders will see you as responsible. Opportunities will come your way, and your confidence will rise. Remember, money itself isn't the goal. It's a tool to build the life you desire. When you treat it with respect, it rewards you with freedom and peace of mind. Trust with money isn't built overnight, but it's built daily, $1 at a time. Time is the one resource that no one can ever replenish. Money, possessions, even relationships can be regained or rebuilt, but time once spent is gone forever. The wealthy understand this truth deeply, and they treat time as their most precious asset. How you manage your minutes and hours directly shapes your financial future. In my early days, I realized that I was trading time for money, working long hours with little to show for it. Then it hit me. If time is finite and money is limited by the hours I could work, I had to find a way to make time work for me, not just me for time. That shift in thinking transformed my approach to wealth. Turning time into an asset means protecting it fiercely. It means saying no to distractions, trivial tasks, and activities that don't serve your goals. When you guard your time, you create space to focus on what matters most, building skills that increase your value, nurturing relationships that open doors, and developing ideas that generate income beyond your hourly efforts. One of the most powerful ways to leverage time is through learning. Every minute spent reading a book, attending a seminar, or listening to a mentor compounds your knowledge. Over time, this knowledge grows into wisdom and action, multiplying your income potential. I remember dedicating small pockets of time daily to self-education, which eventually paid off tenfold. Connections are another investment of time that pays rich dividends. Building genuine relationships, offering help, and networking wisely can lead to opportunities that no amount of money can buy. Your network becomes your net worth because opportunities multiply through the people you know. Finally, ideas are the seeds that time nurtures. Investing your time in thinking creatively, problem solving, and planning can birth ventures that earn money while you sleep. When you take the time to build systems or businesses that run independently, you unlock the power of passive income, a true wealth multiplier. The key is to be intentional. Don't let your days fill up with busy work or distractions. Treat each moment as an investment. Will this hour move you closer to financial freedom? Will this task build your skills, expand your network, or create new income? In the end, the wealthy don't just make money, they make time work for them. Protect your time like gold. Invest it in growth and watch as it multiplies into opportunities and wealth beyond your imagination. Time is your most powerful asset. Choose it wisely. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, the path we've chosen doesn't lead where we hoped. A plan that once seemed promising can start to falter, and if we don't recognize this early, it can drain our time, energy, and resources without delivering the results we desire. The secret is not to cling stubbornly to failure, but to be willing to reinvent, revise, and redirect. Reinventing a failing plan is not a sign of weakness, it's a hallmark of wisdom and resilience. I recall a time early in my career when I was convinced that a certain approach to growing my business was the key. I put all my effort into it, but the returns were diminishing. I was frustrated, exhausted, and close to giving up. Instead, I decided to step back and conduct a thorough review. I asked myself, what parts of this plan are working? What parts are draining me? What can I do differently? This process of quarterly review is essential for anyone serious about financial growth. Life and markets change, your skills evolve, and what worked yesterday may not work tomorrow. Setting regular intervals every 3 months to evaluate your strategies creates a powerful habit of reflection and course correction. During this review, be honest with yourself. Look at your numbers, your results, and your feelings about the effort. Is the return worth the input? If something isn't yielding results, ask whether it can be fixed or if it's time to let it go. Sometimes reinvention means tweaking a marketing strategy. Other times it means cutting losses and focusing on a new idea. Refocusing your energy on what works isn't about chasing every shiny opportunity. It's about doubling down on your strengths and what moves the needle. In my own experience, learning to say no to less productive ventures freed up time and money for initiatives that truly grew my wealth. Remember, failure isn't fatal. Stubbornly staying on a failing course is. Reinvention requires courage to admit mistakes, humility to learn, and discipline to act. It's a continuous cycle of evaluating, adjusting, and pushing forward smarter, not just harder. So, don't be afraid to reinvent. Make quarterly reviews a part of your financial discipline. Let each pivot be a step closer to your goals, and watch how agility becomes one of your greatest assets on the road to wealth. In the journey toward financial success, distraction and fear are two of the most insidious enemies you will face. They come dressed as urgent emails, sudden market rumors, tempting get-rich-quick schemes, or the nagging voice of doubt whispering, "What if you fail?" The wealthy understand these forces intimately, not because they never feel fear or distraction, but because they've learned to guard against them with disciplined focus and calm resolve. I remember early in my career when the stock market would swing wildly, or when friends and colleagues buzzed about the latest can't-miss opportunity. It was easy to get caught up in the noise, to let emotion drive my decisions. But I quickly discovered that the best way to protect my financial future wasn't to chase every new trend or panic at the first sign of trouble. It was to develop a principle-centered approach grounded in steady, well-reasoned action. The wealthy don't let fear push them into rash decisions. When faced with volatility, they step back and evaluate with a clear mind, looking at their long-term plan instead of short-term fluctuations. They know that panic selling or impulsive buying can erode gains faster than any market downturn. Discipline, not emotion, guides their moves. Distraction is another form of enemy. Our world is overflowing with noise, constant alerts, social media, urgent messages, and it's easy to get pulled off course. The wealthy build walls around their focus. They protect their time and attention like a valuable asset, because they know that 1 hour invested in deep work can yield more than an entire day of scattered effort. To guard against distraction, establish routines that create mental clarity. Set specific times to review your finances, check news, or explore opportunities. Outside those windows, protect yourself from unnecessary interruptions. Learn to say not out of fear, but out of respect for your goals. Fear and distraction often feed each other. Fear makes you vulnerable to distraction, and distraction keeps you from confronting fear with rational action. When you cultivate focus and composure, you cut off that cycle. Your financial decisions should be rooted in principles-clear goals, sound strategy, and patience. When the storms come, and they will, you won't be swayed by every gust of emotion or distraction. Instead, you'll move forward with confidence, knowing that calm, deliberate action builds lasting wealth. Remember, wealth is not an accident of emotion or chance. It is the product of guarded focus and steady principles. Protect your mind, and your money will follow. There's a powerful truth that many overlook on the path to wealth. Generosity is not just a nice thing to do, it's a critical strategy in building lasting abundance. The wealthy understand this deeply. They know that money, while essential, is merely a tool to be used, not an idol to be worshiped. And as you grow financially, giving generously is one of the most profound ways to ensure your prosperity continues to expand. I recall a time when I was just beginning to find some financial footing. I had a small income and many expenses, and the thought of giving money away felt counterintuitive. How can I give when I have so little? I asked myself. But I also remembered a lesson from those who had gone before me. True wealth grows when it flows. So, even if it was a modest amount, I committed to giving consistently. What happened next was remarkable. That small act of generosity shifted my mindset from scarcity to abundance. It was as if by releasing part of what I had, I was sending a message to the universe and to myself that there was more than enough. Opportunities began to appear. Relationships deepened. Doors that once seemed closed opened. Giving creates space. It's like clearing clutter from a room. You can't fill the space with something new unless you remove what's taking up room. When you give, you remove mental and emotional blocks around money. You break the chains of fear and attachment that can keep you stuck in financial scarcity. You invite abundance to enter. Generosity also builds powerful social capital. People remember those who help without expecting immediate returns. Networks grow stronger when based on trust and mutual support. And in business or life, those relationships often translate into new opportunities, partnerships, and collaborations. But generosity is not about losing money or being reckless. It's about purposeful giving aligned with your values and capacity. Whether it's donating to a cause you believe in, investing in someone's growth, or simply sharing your time and knowledge, generosity multiplies your wealth in unexpected ways. Remember, money is a tool designed to serve your life and purpose. When you give generously, you honor that truth. You tap into the cycle of abundance that creates not only financial growth, but a rich, fulfilling life. The more you give, the more you open the door for blessings to return to you tenfold. That's the hidden secret many overlook, but the wealthy live by it every day. There is a profound principle that the truly wealthy understand well. Generosity is not merely a kind gesture, it is a cornerstone in the architecture of lasting abundance. Money, after all, is a tool, not an idol. It serves a purpose beyond itself, and when you grow in financial capacity, giving generously becomes a powerful strategy to expand your prosperity. This idea may seem counterintuitive at first. When resources are limited, the instinct is often to hold tightly, to protect every penny. But the act of giving, even in modest amounts, unlocks a dynamic flow of abundance that changes your relationship with money and transforms your financial future. Early in my journey, when my income was modest and expenses numerous, I wrestled with the question, how can I give when I have so little? Yet, the wisdom I encountered was clear wealth grows when it flows. So, I made a deliberate choice to give, no matter how small the amount. This simple, consistent practice did something remarkable. It shifted my mindset from scarcity to abundance. By releasing a portion of what I had, I sent a powerful message not only to the world, but also to myself, that I believed there was more than enough to go around. Suddenly, opportunities I hadn't seen before began to emerge, relationships deepened, and doors that once seemed closed started to open. Giving creates space. Imagine clearing clutter from a room. You can't bring in something new unless you remove what's taking up room. Similarly, generosity removes mental and emotional blockages tied to money. It breaks the chains of fear, anxiety, and attachment that often keep people stuck in financial scarcity. When you give, you invite abundance into your life, creating an energetic shift that supports growth in ways you may never anticipate. Beyond the internal transformation, generosity builds social capital. People notice those who help without expecting immediate returns. Trust and goodwill become currencies as valuable as dollars. In business and in life, strong networks founded on generosity lead to opportunities, partnerships, and collaborations that amplify your financial and personal growth. Importantly, generosity is not about recklessness or giving beyond your means. It is a purposeful, intentional act aligned with your values and capacity. Whether you're donating to causes you care about, investing time and knowledge in others, or supporting someone's growth, these acts of giving multiply your wealth in both tangible and intangible ways. Remember, money is a tool designed to serve your life and purpose. When you give generously, you honor that truth. You tap into the endless cycle of abundance that creates not only financial wealth, but also a rich and fulfilling life. The more you give, the more you open the door for blessings to return tenfold. This is the hidden secret many overlook, yet it is the daily practice that the wealthy live by, and it is one you can begin today.